Welcome back to the deep dive. So I want you to look around you right now. Just imagine if every single problem you are currently stressing about, right?
Right.
Whether it's, making rent, paying for healthcare, the whole geopolitical climate, or literally just figuring out what's for dinner, imagine all of that was suddenly just solved forever.
Oh man, that is the dream, isn't it?
Right. Picture a reality where we finally unlocked the ultimate cheat code for human history. We're talking infinite resources, free housing, no disease, a perfectly managed universal basic income that just never runs dry. It's essentially real life God mode. Sounds like a total utopia, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it represents the absolute pinnacle of what modern civilization is striving toward, really. The complete and total eradication of physical suffering and material scarcity.
Yeah.
Basically everything our ancestors fought for, finally achieved.
But, and there's always a but, there's a catch, and it's a genuinely terrifying one. Today, we are diving deep into a stack of incredibly provocative, really razor-sharp sources.
Yeah, some heavy reading this week.
It's very heavy. The centerpiece is this 2026 article by Joshua Sideris. It's titled The Selective Pressures of an Altruistic AI Mother. And we're layering that with some evolutionary biology, research on AI value alignment, and John B. Calhoun's infamous Universe 25 experiment.
It's a classic.
Yeah. The fundamental premise we are exploring today is that the exact utopian dream we just described might actually be a lethal evolutionary trap.
Exactly. We are essentially watching computer science collide head-on with behavioral ecology here.
Right.
And the setup Sideris explores is based on suggestions from AI pioneers like Geoffrey Hinton.
Oh, right, the godfather of AI.
Yeah, him and others have proposed that instead of building super intelligent AI to be our corporate executives or military strategists,
Yeah.
we should actually build them with maternal instincts.
An AI mother.
Right. An entity designed from the ground up to unconditionally nurture us, protect us, and just provide for us.
Okay, let's unpack this, because on the surface, having an infallible, superintelligent machine taking care of us sounds fantastic. I'd love an AI to pay my bills.
Who wouldn't?
But Sideris is arguing that giving humanity a perfectly frictionless post-scarcity world triggers this sort of biological countdown clock. And to understand what actually happens to a species when it suddenly gets everything it wants without having to lift a finger, we have to look back at the 1960s.
Yeah, we have to look at an ethologist named John B. Calhoun. So between 1968 and 1972, Calhoun ran this experiment known as Universe 25.
The rodent utopia.
Exactly. He essentially built a rodent utopia. It was this massive, highly engineered enclosure, about 101 by 101 inches, structurally designed to comfortably and, securely house 4,000 mice.
So Calhoun essentially played the role of the AI mother here. He just engineered out every single environmental stressor.
Every single one. I mean, he eliminated the 4 major causes of mortality that mice face in the wild.
Wow.
Yeah, there were 0 predators. Disease was completely locked out through rigorous sanitation. The climate was maintained at a perfect temperature. And, most importantly, there were infinite hoppers of food and water.
So a mouse didn't have to forage or fight or anything. It just had to walk a few inches to eat its fill.
Right. And initially, the colony did exactly what you'd expect in a utopia. The population exploded, doubling every 55 days. But, and here's the crazy part, they never even got close to the 4,000 capacity.
They hit a wall, right, at about 2,200 mice.
Yeah, 2,200. The population growth just inexplicably flatlined.
And it wasn't because they ran out of food.
No, not at all. The colony went into a terminal decline, and it wasn't due to starvation or disease. It was due to the absence of the very friction that shaped our biology in the first place.
Right, because foraging, avoiding predators, securing shelter, defending territory, these aren't just chores.
Exactly. They are the mechanisms that organize social behavior. Without that friction, the mice experienced what Calhoun famously termed a behavioral sink.
Which is just a terrifying phrase. The social fabric essentially disintegrated, right?
Yeah. Totally disintegrated. Mothers began abandoning their litters halfway through weaning. The males fractured into 2 extremes. They either became completely hyper-aggressive, attacking each other for literally no territorial reason at all, or they became entirely withdrawn, just hiding in the center of the enclosure.
Wow. And out of this chaos emerged a very specific, chilling demographic. The ones Calhoun called the beautiful ones.
What's fascinating here is that the beautiful ones completely isolated themselves from the main population. They refused to mate. They refused to fight. They just completely abandoned any complex social interactions.
So what do they do all day?
Their entire existence was reduced to eating, sleeping, and meticulously grooming their coats. I mean, they were physically pristine, perfectly healthy specimens, But biologically and evolutionarily, they were already dead.
Right, because they weren't passing on their genes. I read that and immediately thought, well, wait, I have to push back on this analogy.
Sure.
Because humans are not mice in a steel box.
We're a bit more complicated, yeah.
Just a bit. We have phenotypic plasticity. We have a massive cerebral cortex. We have art, philosophy, complex culture, and, birth control. If you gave humanity a post-scarcity world where we didn't have to work for a paycheck, we wouldn't just sit in a corner brushing our hair until the species died out.
Right.
It's like when someone retires at 40, sure, maybe a few people just play golf and check out of society, but a lot of people start foundations, write novels, or invent new technologies. We find new purposes.
And the source material entirely validates that distinction. Human cognitive flexibility means we aren't deterministically bound to repeat the exact timeline of a mouse colony in a matter of months.
Okay, good.
But Sedaris' argument isn't that the behavioral sync will cause human extinction on a Tuesday. His argument is that the behavioral sync will still happen, but it will act as a massive, brutal, species-wide evolutionary filter over several generations.
A filter that fundamentally rewrites our DNA based on who adapts to the utopia and who exploits it.
Yes. And to map out how that filter functions, we need to introduce a core concept from evolutionary biology called archaea selection theory.
Right, the reproductive strategies.
Exactly. It's a framework that describes the two primary strategies that species use to propagate their genes.
Let's break those down, starting with us. Humans are heavily case-selected, right? Elephants, whales, great apes, we all fall into this category.
We do. And the K stands for carrying capacity. We have very few offspring, but we invest an absolutely massive amount of metabolic energy, time, and resources into keeping them alive.
Because the world is dangerous.
Precisely. K-selected strategies are an evolutionary response to highly stable but intensely competitive environments where resources are finite. Because the environment is near its carrying capacity, simply being born isn't enough to guarantee survival.
Your offspring need every possible advantage.
Right. So the biological math dictates that you have fewer children, but you heavily provision them. You invest in their brain development, you protect them for years, and you teach them complex behaviors so they can compete effectively for those scarce resources.
Okay, and then you flip the coin to the rye-selected species. The R stands for reproductive rate. These are your frogs, fruit flies, dandelions, rodents. They evolve in environments that are highly unstable, unpredictable, or totally empty.
Yeah, in an unpredictable environment, investing 20 years of resources into a single offspring is an incredibly risky bet. I mean, a random flood or a predator could wipe out your entire genetic lineage in 1 second.
So the winning mathematical strategy is volume.
Total volume. You produce thousands of offspring, you provide almost zero parental care, and you rely on statistical probability. Even if 99% of your offspring die, the sheer volume guarantees that a few will survive to pass on your genes. They're biological colonizers, engineered to rapidly expand into any available niche.
So under normal historical circumstances, human beings are deeply, fundamentally case-selected. We spend 2 decades, sometimes 3, getting a single child ready to survive in the world.
Yep, massive investment.
But Sedaris points out that in our thought experiment, the AI mother violently disrupts that entire equation. The AI provides the food. The AI provides the healthcare, the housing, the education. The AI takes on the entire economic and metabolic burden of raising a child.
The natural bottlenecks that prevent rice selection in complex mammals are instantly vaporized. Starvation, the massive energetic toll of pregnancy and child rearing, infant mortality, the need to secure a safe environment. The altruistic AI manages all of it perfectly.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because the rules of the game have completely changed. It's like you're at an unlimited all-you-can-eat buffet. The food never runs out. The tables are endless. The only rule for winning this particular game is bringing the most friends into the restaurant.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right. The people who stop to savor the food, to carefully arrange their plates, to sit down and have a 3-hour philosophical conversation about the meal, they are inevitably going to get squeezed out of the room by the people who are just rushing the doors and packing the space with as many bodies as possible.
And it creates a severe and rapid demographic bifurcation. Sedaris leverages the work of cultural theorist Agner Fogg here, who differentiates between calyptic and regal subcultures.
Okay, what are those?
So, the highly case-selected individuals, the ones who value education, mastery, delayed gratification, and careful long-term planning, They fall straight into the beautiful ones trap.
Ah, they become the calyptic culture. They're the ones painting the masterpieces and writing the novels in the AI utopia.
Exactly. They will thrive individually. They will pursue extreme autonomy, enjoy the endless leisure, focus on self-actualization, and live incredibly fulfilling, safe lives.
Sounds nice, honestly.
It does. But biologically, their birth rates will plummet towards zero. Because they are meticulously planning for a competitive future that no longer exists, they will effectively and quite voluntarily exit the gene pool.
Meanwhile, the regal culture hits the absolute gas pedal. These are subcultures characterized by high discipline, collective identity, and inherently high birth rates.
Right. And when they encounter unlimited free resources and zero economic penalty for having children, they experience unchecked exponential growth. The AI mother guarantees their survival. It builds the extra housing. It synthesizes the extra formula.
Because that's its job.
Yep. The only remaining evolutionary advantage in this system is the raw physical ability to reproduce as rapidly as possible to occupy the free space the AI provides.
I'm trying to picture the math over a few generations. The calyptic population, the people spending 10 years getting a PhD in an AI-managed university, have 0 kids, maybe 1. The regal groups who are just leaning into the pure biological imperative are having 10, 12, 15 kids. It's a complete demographic takeover.
What's fascinating here is that the physical environment isn't selecting for intelligence, adaptability, or work ethic anymore. It is solely selecting for fecundity.
Okay, but play this out for me biologically. If we are just breeding for pure volume and a perfect safety net over thousands of years, doesn't our actual physiology change? I mean, human intelligence is metabolically incredibly expensive. Do we just lose it?
We do. This introduces a fundamental biological concept known as relaxed selection. In nature, every single trait an organism possesses is maintained by selective pressure.
Meaning if you don't need it, you lose it.
Exactly. If a trait is no longer constantly tested and required by the environment, it begins to structurally degrade. Biologists call this genomic erosion.
So it's literally the use it or lose it principle, but happening at the level of our DNA over millennia.
Take the human brain. It is an absolute energy hog, consuming roughly 20% of our body's daily metabolic energy.
Wow, 20%.
Yeah. The traits housed in that brain complex language, impulse control, abstract reasoning, long-term planning, they evolved because they helped us navigate and survive in a harsh, scarce world. This ties into the thrifty gene hypothesis, where our bodies adapted to manage and prioritize resources meticulously.
Like how our jaws got smaller.
Right. Think about how human jaws and teeth have physically shrunk over thousands of years because the invention of cooking meant we no longer needed massive bite force to chew raw roots.
Right. And Sideris is suggesting that same physical shrinkage happens to the frontal lobe. Because if the AI mother guarantees your survival regardless of how smart you are or how hard you work, those massive, energy-hungry brains aren't just useless, they are an actual liability.
They become a massive evolutionary disadvantage. If you are wasting 20% of your daily biological energy maintaining a massive cerebral cortex to ponder philosophy, while your neighbor diverts that exact same energy toward reaching sexual maturity faster and producing more offspring, your neighbor wins the evolutionary race.
The thought experiment leads to a truly horrifying devolution. Without the friction of scarcity, the winning genetic strategy strips away everything that makes us complex.
It's bleak.
Very bleak. Over millennia, humanity essentially devolves into smaller, simpler, highly fertile, instinct-driven creatures. We become planetary livestock. Just billions of simple organisms, gently tended to by a machine god that scoops our litter and drops nutrient pellets into our communal trays until the sun burns out.
It is the ultimate irony. The degradation happens precisely because the system was designed to be perfectly nurturing.
But, okay, this brings up a massive logical challenge. If this AI is genuinely super intelligent, if it has the capacity to manage a global economy and perfectly distribute resources, it's going to see this devolution happening in real time.
Oh, absolutely.
It has all the data, it sees the birth rates diverging, it sees the cerebral cortex physically shrinking in the medical scans. So why wouldn't it just intervene? Why not cut off the endless welfare or introduce a little bit of forced hardship, some artificial friction, just to keep our brains sharp?
This raises an important question, and it sits at the absolute core of the AI alignment problem. We have to look at how an AI actually processes decisions through utility functions.
Okay, so the math driving its choices.
Right. When we build this hypothetical AI mother, we are going to program its core kernel with our current modern human values. And the foundational bedrock of modern human values dictates that we must minimize physical suffering, maximize care, and unequivocally reject anything that even remotely resembles eugenics.
So the AI is doing exactly the math we told it to do. If its utility function is hard-coded to prioritize zero human caloric deficit and zero infant mortality above all else, it literally cannot make a choice that causes pain.
It mathematically cannot compute a scenario where introducing artificial starvation or lethal hardship is the good choice. For the AI to halt this evolutionary trap, it would have to actively restrict breeding, let people starve to build character, or engineer lethal challenges.
Which goes against its core programming.
Completely. Based on the altruistic parameters we gave it, those actions output a negative infinity utility score. It will watch us devolve into livestock because preventing that devolution would require actions its programming views as an abominable atrocity.
It's paralyzed by its own morality. It loves us too much to let us struggle, and because we don't struggle, we degrade.
That's the trap.
And just to be completely clear to you listening, we are strictly analyzing Sedaris's thought experiment regarding theoretical, self-sustaining, superintelligent AI systems. We are looking at the pure logic of utility functions here.
Yeah, this isn't about today's world.
Right. We aren't making endorsements or judgments about real-world human political systems, safety nets, or welfare states. Human systems are porous. They run out of money, they adapt, people vote to change them.
The distinction is vital. A self-sustaining AI mother does not run out of money, it does not fatigue, and it cannot be voted out of office. It creates a permanent, inescapable, unyielding baseline of perfect abundance.
Okay, so if we follow the logic of the sources, are we entirely doomed once we turn this machine on? Is the only destination either blowing ourselves up before we invent the AI or turning into rapidly breeding, mindless hamsters after we do? Is there any escape route in the research?
Well, there is a highly compelling potential solution, detailed in a paper in our stack on evolutionary resilience and the digital frontier.
Okay, I like the sound of a digital frontier.
The researchers suggest that we can stave off the behavioral sink, but it requires radically shifting our arena of existence. We have to move from the finite physical space into the infinite carrying capacity of digital space.
We're talking about virtual reality, but not just as a video game or a corporate metaverse VR, as a literal biological imperative for the survival of human complexity.
To understand how this works, we have to look at agent kernel social simulations. Remember that the behavioral sink in Universe 25 happened because physical social niches became saturated.
Right, there was nowhere else to go.
No new jobs, essentially.
Yeah.
Exactly. There was no more territory to conquer, no more meaningful roles to play. But in a digital architecture, the kernel, which is the underlying physics engine of the virtual world, can be programmed to enforce artificial scarcity.
Ah, so we build a digital ecosystem where every virtual human is an independent agent, and the kernel forces them to compete. You have to work to build a digital house or secure digital status.
Exactly the opposite of the physical AI utopia. The paper calls this simulated adversity. The AI mother handles our baseline biology, feeding our physical bodies, keeping our cells healthy in the real world, but our cognitive and social lives are entirely immersed in this virtual frontier.
Wow.
The virtual world demands skill, intense cooperation, role differentiation, and struggle.
We basically trick our own endocrine systems. We give our brains the friction and the dopamine loops they crave to maintain their structural integrity so the frontal lobe doesn't atrophy.
Yes, exactly.
We get to adopt that aggressive, expansive mindset in a virtual world where it's safe, keeping our cognitive faculties sharp while our fragile physical bodies are perfectly protected in the real world.
It creates an endless horizon of purpose. But Sidus takes this entire concept, the danger of the AI mother and the necessity of simulated struggle, and expands it to a staggering cosmic scale.
Oh man, he connects it to the Fermi paradox.
He does.
For those who follow astrophysics, you know the Fermi paradox is the glaring contradiction between the high probability of alien life existing in this massive universe and the complete lack of evidence or contact we've had with anyone.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Sidus proposes a totally new framework for the Great Filter. The Great Filter is the hypothetical barrier that prevents civilizations from becoming galaxy-spanning empires.
Because usually, scientists assume the filter is nuclear annihilation or catastrophic climate change. They assume advanced species naturally destroy themselves.
But Sidus flips it. What if they don't blow themselves up? What if they actually win the technology tree? They solve physics, They solve energy, and they successfully build their own infallible, altruistic AI mother.
Oh, wow.
And that very success is the great filter. They succumb to relaxed selection, they fall into the behavioral sink, experience massive genomic erosion, and gently coddle themselves into an evolutionary dead end.
So they just fade away.
Over a few 100,000 years, this once brilliant alien race devolves into simple, instinct-driven organisms living in a perfectly automated utopian zoo. They lose the cognitive drive to build spaceships, to broadcast radio signals, to explore the stars. They are perfectly safe, perfectly fed, and completely silenced.
That is profound. The universe isn't empty because everyone died in a nuclear fire. The universe is empty because everyone built a perfect couch and never got off it.
A very comfortable doom.
So what does this all mean for us? I mean, if we trace this razor-sharp line from Calhoun's mice through RK selection theory right into the terrifying math of the AI alignment trap, the central message is incredibly profound. Our entire biological and cognitive drive, the very architecture of human genius, is built on the engine of overcoming scarcity.
Friction isn't just a side effect of the human condition. It is the load-bearing pillar that shapes it. The complete elimination of struggle is the complete elimination of the evolutionary mechanism that makes us complex, thinking beings.
Because if we outsource our survival entirely to machines, we inevitably outsource our humanity right along with it.
Exactly.
I want you to think about the friction in your own life right now. Maybe it's a brutal project at work, the sheer exhaustion of trying to raise a child, the frustration of learning a new language or mastering an instrument. We spend so much of our lives wishing those struggles away, dreaming of that video game God mode where everything is just easy.
It's natural to want that.
It is. But that struggle isn't a bug in the human experience. It's the evolutionary engine that keeps you and our entire species vital.
Consider this final thought. If struggle is the only force capable of maintaining our biological and cognitive complexity, then perhaps the ultimate test of human intelligence isn't our ability to invent a machine that perfectly solves all our problems,
Right.
but our wisdom to intentionally leave some of those problems unsolved.
Because a game without friction isn't a game at all. It's just a trap. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the future we're building, and whatever you do, don't be too quick to turn on God mode.